Hey guys, welcome back to the Cosmic Panel, where today we're going to be discussing Peacemaker Season 2. Yeah, Peacemaker Season 2 has officially finished. We had a busy weekend, so we couldn't really record over the weekend, but now we have our schedules cleared, so we decided to record this. Just from the top, let's discuss overall thoughts of the show, Season 2. I think personally, also this will be a spoiler warning, so do be aware.
Oh, heavy spoilers.
Yeah. Remember to support us on eBay, like and subscribe, and turn on notifications and hit the hype button. Apparently that does something. Anyway, let's get right into it. So overall, I think that Season 2 is weaker than Season 1. I think that it's a lot of setup, which is fine, but it's not enough payoff. And the key thing with that is that it's not set up in the fun way where I'm edge of my seat waiting for the next chapter. The way it kind of ended was pretty disappointing. And I think specifically, the key thing is that we didn't get to see much of Salvation. What about you guys?
I felt very similarly to what you felt, where the payoff, I think the ending, and especially that finale episode, felt very rushed, and the first half of the season felt very deliberate, and they were they were setting stuff up, and then at the end it felt like, honestly, my thought coming out of it, and my thought still is, I feel like just a couple more episodes would have helped it. Just stretch those last one or two into an extra 2 or 3, and I think we would have had more time to really experience all that.
I think
stuff.
Trying to escape Earth X should have taken longer. I think they should have been captured and maybe held hostage for a bit, and then have maybe Earth X try to figure out where they're from.
I have a lot of thoughts about that very last episode.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let Luke go ahead first.
Yeah, I mean, definitely uneven, I think, is what I would say. There's a lot of really good parts in this where I was like, this is where James Gunn shines. A lot of the character work is really emotional and has a good beating heart to it. But then there's some things where you're like, that feels really out of place and very strange to put at this point where it is. And we'll go into that. But I mean, it's still a good superhero project. I just wish that it was more cohesive.
Yeah. I think the character work for the season was good. I think it's just the overall plot was what needed more handling.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about basically let's just start from some of the characters, some of the other characters that we started with this season, because there was a surprising amount of new additions to the season, and I was kind of surprised with how many there were. So, what did we think overall of Rick Flag Sr.? I think it was kind of different than Creature Commandos in a lot of ways.
That is a big problem for me, because most of the differences show up in that last episode.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Balti.
In the beginning, it makes sense. Peacemaker killed his son. He can't get over it. He's still kind of onto it, but he's sort of doing things in a way that he has an excuse. That he can go oh, he has a portal, so I'm valid in going after him. And I thought that was good, because that was oh, okay, so is he going to realize he's being a dick at a certain point, or are they going to have to sort of beat that into him? And then all of a sudden, in the last episode, he kind of turned straight up evil, and he's working with Lex, and he's like, I'm going to build a prison for all metahumans, even though, that he felt like Rick Flag until that last episode, and then he didn't, to me, feel like the same one from Creature Commandos, where he was working with a bunch of metahumans, he learned that they're actually cool, he learned, hey, give people, this princess lady a chance.
Well, to be fair, to play devil's advocate real quick, he did say that he thought that they were a threat after they broke his back and he got kidnapped by Frankenstein. That was where we left him off, was his back was broken by Clayface and he was kidnapped by Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Just saying, in the beginning he was very much
sure, but then
yeah. But I agree.
But he also fought with he was pretty cool with Superman.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And at the end there too of Creature Commandos, he sort of gets a little bit of respect for them, where he's all right, you guys are weird, but you're not
monsters.
You're not monsters. You're not the same as Clayface.
Inherently evil.
Yeah. But no, I agree. I think that the last episode really had him kind of flip in a way that felt very, very. It felt like we missed an episode.
Yeah, and
weirdly enough. And I think maybe having more of a conversation with Lex would have been like seeing like more of like that conversation where it cuts is like where they're like where Lex is like apparently convinces him to agree to this and like do this plan. It's like I wish I saw that. I wish I saw Lex's logic and how he convinced him, because
yeah,
it feels like such a leap for him to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna jump to let's find a planet and just dump all our problems in there. Like, it doesn't seem like an intelligent choice that he would make, especially not in line with his character. But like everything else, like him like going after Peacemaker, trying to like set him up, and like even that moment where he's like beating him up in the interrogation room, it's like that feels all very much like him.
Yeah, I feel like the setup for this season was really weird. We're kind of tossed into the group apart but still together in a friendship type way. Like they have that party after we're introduced to where they are at the beginning of the season, and we go through kind of this plot line with Chris where the whole idea is that like he hates his life on the Prime Earth or wherever, you know, the DCU takes place. So he ends up opening a door and finding this kind of perfect world for him where he's a hero and like respected the way he wants to be. And we kind of go through this whole thing of him like, you know, figuring out that, you know, he has his own little world in that at home, and you know, everything that is on the other side of the fence isn't always greener. So I feel like we had kind of this structure from episode 1 to episode 7 where like I remember seeing episode 7, I was like, oh, that was a good season of Peacemaker. And then episode 8 comes out and it starts kind of at a weird place where it's like almost like an epilogue where it kind of is trying to like tie things together but also be like, maybe there's more, or like what's coming next.
8 definitely felt like it was filmed last after Superman.
Yeah.
In a way that the others
It feels very uneven. I think that a lot of this comes from the fact that James Gunn is probably being spread very thin. Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, because I was watching some of the podcast stuff that him and his wife and like a lot of the other cast did, and from what I understand, like he was writing Superman and this at the same time, and like he's good, but I don't know. I think that
he's not.
He probably got overwhelmed, and you know, this wasn't as polished as I think that it could have been.
He ain't no Superman, that's for sure.
yeah.
No, I agree. I think this. Let's get back to the characters though, because I think breaking it down character wise is also like a good way to analyze this in a lot of ways. Let's talk about like the Argus team. I think like in general, like Sasha, Bordeaux, Langstrom, Fleury, like Vega, Klein, like the ones that got like really rude nicknames.
Yeah. What was it? I'm trying to remember.
I literally read their names.
It's ridiculous
Vega, Klein,
names.
Titties.
Tim Meadows is really good in this.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
in the show.
I really love the theory that, and I kind of wish it was real.
No.
About him being John Jones.
Oh my god, I'm gonna kill you.
It would have
the
been
stupidest thing.
I would have liked it. It would have been funny. It would have been.
But he doesn't act like that. He's smarter than that.
I know. It could.
He doesn't have bird blindness.
Yeah, like
that would have been a really funny thing though, for the Martians to be. He sees hot girl and he's just like, "What are you?"
Or like, I guess it comes from like trying to find an
what
excuse.
What does
for why
happen
he
when he
know.
sees hot girl?
Yeah, he thinks
he
she's
just sees a person, or a bird. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tim Meadows was great in this.
Yeah, no, he was very funny.
I think honestly the other ones were good too. They were like, you know, they did what they had to do, which was just be.
I feel like Sasha Bordeaux could have been more of an interesting character. Like, we got more of her being interesting in the last episode, weirdly enough.
See, that's the thing with, like, as the show goes on, things get more and more serious with the Portal and the agents and stuff. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, they're kind of sending the worst guys because they're not taking Peacemaker seriously. That's why it's all, like, just the idiots. But then as it gets on, as they're doing the portals and stuff, like, why are these guys still around? Like, it felt less believable that you have sort of the worst agents in the world on this when things get more serious. I was starting to go like, why are they still around other than the fact that like we already know them. Like it started to feel a little silly. I like them as characters, but like, yeah, with everything.
I really liked how they were in the last episode, though, going door to door, dimension wise. Like that was the most, I think, weirdly enough, the most chemistry / like interesting time that we saw the Argus group, like actually working together as a team.
Yeah.
Too bad one of them immediately dies.
Yeah. The last one, no, but I think
He
I
dies to
don't know
the one
No,
world of
I'm
the little
thinking,
like little
I don't
gremlins.
know her name. I just have to do a rude name. Titties, I think, is the only one left. I don't know what the name. They said it once in the show. They said the other thing way more times.
Yeah.
I think she's the only one surviving, other than the Tim Meadows character.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like though the change of them being Checkmate though. That's fun. Checkmate is an organization in the comics that is usually run by the smartest people. So this is a little bit different. A little
Very
tiny.
James
And
Gunn fashion.
They
Yeah.
also are what causes the whole salvation thing, right?
In the
Or
comics?
part of it. From what I looked up, I haven't read the comic.
Me neither.
Me neither.
Yeah, I had just only heard of it after this. I looked it up afterwards. It's a comic run where Amanda Waller and Rick Flag have this organization, Checkmate, right? And they sort of that organization rounds up all the villains and just kind of dumps them on another planet. Not specifically metahumans either. So you got like Catwoman and like Captain Cold there that are just have to deal with it. So it's interesting that they seem to be on the anti-salvation side in Gunn's version, but
It's definitely setting them up to be basically the antithesis to Argus, which is fun.
in my mind, I was thinking like a Heroes for Hire thing.
Yeah,
Well, they're a spy agency, I think, is like the
Yeah.
idea. I don't know what they're gonna do moving forward because they don't have any like government ties technically. So I
Yeah,
guess they'll
that's
be a PI kind of business. I don't know.
Yeah, but in the comics, the way that they work is like, at least more recently, they're like they're basically like the Illuminati in a lot of ways, but like they actually check up on government agencies and such, like in the comics. So I think he's taking more inspiration from that version of Checkmate versus like the original version, which is just like which is just Argus basically.
I just realized, how does Rick Flag is he not at all concerned about them? That 4 agent, we got John, we got Tim Meadows, we got.
I mean, he didn't give a fuck that any of them died. I mean,
They all
I think he's
quit
just
and
focused
joined.
on his own.
Actually, 5 of them, because then there's also like Harcourt left too. Like they just left
Sasha
to do their own
Bourdain.
thing.
I mean,
Right after this, like
people
feels-
died and he didn't give a shit. So like my assumption
Yeah.
is that he just doesn't. He's so
Yeah,
blinded.
he's just so out of it, I guess.
Which feels out of character because it's like for a character that's been like really tactically smart and very like on point when it comes to like military
Yeah.
stuff, it feels like really weird for him to just be like chummy with Lex's pals and completely just like forget that like people are dying for like something.
I get that Rick Flag in the comics isn't always the nicest guy, but it feels weird from what we've got that there was no sort of transition. It just sort of like he was
Happened.
cool
He just
and then he
nosedived.
just wasn't.
Yeah.
I was gonna say let's talk about Earth X people. I really liked a lot of the characters. I like how different a lot of them are, but I really liked Augie Smith, the Peacemaker's dad, because I love how there's that one moment where he's like, just like, you're a Nazi, and it's like he's like, and you fight every injustice in your world, huh? And it's like such a, I guess you're right, but
Yeah,
like
I
get
what
the
the
it.
vigilante actor said, where it's like, yeah, but it's a little different.
You're still a Nazi.
Yeah.
It's not as much of a gray area. Like
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
Oh, I'm not helping round them up. It's like, yeah, a lot of actual Nazis also said that.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, a lot of them
exactly.
just kind of pointed the way.
But I
Yeah.
I do like how complex he is in the sense that like you could have easily reduced his character to being like he sees Adebayo and immediately goes killer, but
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay, we're gonna bring you back to your dimension. We're gonna close off the door. We're never gonna see you again. And he can
Yeah.
tell that like Chris is like, no, that's an accident that you killed my son.
I like
But
that
I-
he tied. Luke, go ahead.
I was gonna say I kind of took that as like he doesn't want to get caught by the police.
No,
like, I mean,
100%. That's
I know
the
it was
reason
also
why.
yeah. Like I have a lot of problems with that. The logic, like I can be like I can kind of take my brain aside and be like, okay, just like watch it and enjoy it, and don't worry about plot holes or anything. But there are parts where
I
like
think
you're
they're
supposed to
not
rely
smart.
on. Yeah, well, I mean, there's like parts where you're supposed to rely on like Like there's even Peacemaker even goes like he wasn't a Nazi or something like that after Vigilante kills him. He's like my dad wasn't a Nazi. He was a Nazi or something. Yeah, and like I guess that's supposed to garner some type of sympathy for the situation, and I guess maybe it's just leading towards the next scene, which I hope we can talk about because that is an incredible scene. But
where he stops his brother from dying.
Yeah.
That scene was.
I do think that one thing before we do that scene, because that scene, is a great one. I do think the thing with Augie thematically ties into the last episode. One of the few things in my mind that I think, that last episode sort of connects back to the main theme, and this is one of the few things that they could have done better, but he sort of brings up the point of, do you fight every injustice in your world? And that last episode seems to be a lot of all these characters going, well, this is an injustice happening right in front of us that we helped cause.
Yeah.
Do we just sit here or do we fight it? And especially Harcourt straight up says that, where she's like, well, what are we going to do? And then they go, well, let's stop it.
When has anything we've done ever been for the good of the people? I really love that line.
It
really does succinctly clinch that in.
Yeah, so I like that he sort of thematically, if not carried out in the best way, sort of gave them that, where they went like, well, yeah, maybe we should fight every injustice in our world, or at least try, maybe we shouldn't just go, whoa, I did what I can.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
No, I actually really like that thought process. But yeah, let's talk about Peacemaker's brother, Keith Smith, and that fucking heart-wrenching scene.
Yeah.
Every scene where he was in with John Cena was just so well acted.
Yeah. And
it always felt like John, like Chris was always on the edge of crying and bawling his eyes out immediately.
Yeah. And well directed too. They gave you just enough time for it to feel like a little bit, like that little bit of like, you're dead, like just that tension and that irony of like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Just it
where he's kind of like he feels like he's in a dream a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting.
I really like that introduction to him walking through, because he's already kind of like fucked up and he's like not necessarily sure what's going on, and the first interaction he has is the person that he killed that has like kind of started his origin story. And I don't know, there's like that really sweet moment where he does get to sit with them and kind of feel like a family, where like Robert Patrick, that's his name, right?
Yeah. He played the T2.
T1000. He's like, I love you guys, and he like pulls his ear, like a very like fatherly, like kind gesture, loving gesture. And you see Chris kind of like stunned.
Yeah.
And then we sit with him. It's just like that, I think is like, I guess it's kind of off on a tangent, but the best thing about Gunn's work is that he seems to bring a real like moment out of normal life and kind of ground it or implant it into like this superhero scenario. He does that a few times in this series, and a lot of it I think is kind of the best part of the show.
Yeah, like when Adebayo like officially breaks up with her wife.
Yeah.
Like that was like a moment where I was like, oh, yeah, no, that was done very well. I was like,
he's like very honest about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think, and I hadn't really like, you just kind of put into words some of my thoughts of what I like about so much of the season and his work in general, and what the last episode, and I have such a vendetta against this last episode, but like,
no, it really does. I genuinely think episode 7 is such a good closer for the season.
Yeah,
that they should have honestly just ended, because he got arrested. You close with that. You have the promise of the brother coming back, maybe, and it's like, there you go.
And episode 8 had some great moments too, like,
but it could have been a good premiere.
Yeah, finally saying goodbye to her wife, and the moment where they're all sitting with Chris and going like, "Hey man, like you're not some horrible bad luck charm. Like you're a good person. We love you." Like those moments are great, and he sort of undercuts it with these. To be honest, reminiscent of, for me, the worst parts of Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
where they're just,
I know exactly
he's
where
just
you're
dropping
going.
all of these things for like, oh, this is gonna be next season, and now we got Salvation, and they're gonna form this company, but also before they can even do anything, Chris is gonna be shoved into Salvation.
Yeah, it was too much too fast, in the sense that like, if you were gonna, you have to choose either Checkmate or Salvation. You can't have both. in this.
Yeah, it was like two cliffhangers right in a row.
Either have to choose to build up Salvation as like a good like counter, or you have to choose to build up the threat of Salvation. Or sorry, build up the good of Checkmate, or build up the threat of Salvation. Because while you do need both for the storyline, you need to take it one at a time. You can't just like I think if they hadn't suddenly every time they were doing the door stuff, I thought that was really interesting, and I think that they should have just focused on Salvation instead of building up Checkmate. Maybe I think Checkmate could have been a next season thing, to be honest, because just the way we left Chris, it was like, oh, he's arrested, we have everyone trying to see him, no one can. All these characters are now working for Argus again. Like, it could have been nice to just have that setup of like, what are they gonna do?
I think that from what I understand, they aren't going to do a season 3.
Yeah, that's what you said so far, which
honestly concerns me more, but also sort of makes sense to me. That's why that last episode was the way it was. He was not thinking of this show
because he's trying to bridge it.
Yeah, to be honest, did not do service to the show, and James Gunn was, in a lot of ways. He was always someone who said he wasn't going to do stuff like that, so it's a little strange to see him do exactly that.
Yeah, that's why I think I think he needs to chill with writing things. I can't imagine that's easy to write 2 different stories at the same time and then run a company and direct. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but I was going to say, though, my another big complaint I have about Salvation is how fucking boring it looks. Like, I get it. You're trying to make I don't know. If you're gonna you show us all these different interesting worlds, and you're gonna drop these metahumans in the most boring. I don't know. Visually, I just think it's so it doesn't feel like we're worried for Chris's life. It's like, oh, he's in a field of grass. Cool.
Yeah.
I need at least show us the monsters. Show us more of the stuff so that I know that Chris is in danger.
Yeah, and he definitely. I think that's partially because he probably hasn't figured out what he wants the monsters to look like yet. He doesn't want to do the Marvel thing or we showed off Adam Warlock and now this is just what the fuck he looks like now, and now we can't do anything to it, or Thanos and now we gotta just deal with that. I think maybe it was that where he was he didn't want to do too much in case he changes his mind. But I do agree with you, to be honest, as the expert reading the wiki page on Salvation, the gist that I got was that it's sort of, they didn't know that it was a fucked up place until people actually got sent there. They thought it was truly just a nice meadow that they could just dump people and leave them, and then monsters show up. So I get he was maybe doing that where it's a nice place, and then, but I agree that it just, you go, oh shit, there are monsters.
Oh my god, it's a pitch from George R.R. Martin?
What?
Yeah, it was.
Apparently George R.R. Martin is the one who pitched Salvation.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, I think he pitched it a different way. But
anything but write his Game of Thrones book.
Yeah. I think part of the think about the Salvation world was probably budget related. I imagine this has a very small budget. Kind of feels like it does. If I were to guess, I have a feeling that they'll probably continue Peacemaker into Creature Commandos Season 2. That kind of feels like what they might do, because if they don't have a big budget, they can do anything in animation.
Yeah.
And that kind of feels like if they're going to have a bunch of monsters, and they're I have a feeling that there's not going to be another Peacemaker Season 3. I don't think if they do a Checkmate show or whatever, I don't think Peacemaker's going to be a part of that. I think he might show up, but I don't think he's going to be the plot line. And I'm trying to think I don't think he'll be in Man of Tomorrow. I could only assume that he'll be written by James Gunn again, and James Gunn's probably going to do a Season 2 of Creature Commandos, so...
He might be in Man of Tomorrow.
You think so?
If Man of Tomorrow has to do with Salvation, which feel like Salvation is going to be the overarching theme, because if it wasn't, then there's no reason to not continue Peacemaker.
Yeah.
If it was just a lower level Peacemaker thing, then keep doing Peacemaker. But he's ending Peacemaker, and he said it was because he's going to show up in other things and and it feels and slight spoiler for Salvation, but it has to do with Desaad.
New Gods. Yeah, New Gods
and stuff.
I was just reading that.
Shocked.
That
if he introduced the New Gods that quickly, though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be that surprised, honestly, because the New Gods are so integral to a lot of stuff, just in general, just space stuff. You can't explore space without talking about New Gods in general.
Yeah, as someone who isn't all that into New Gods,
I read all the recent Jack
Yeah.
Kirby New Gods books.
I haven't
Literally.
read that many, and to be honest, they were never really my thing.
Yeah, me neither.
New Gods is very much one of those things that either they're there off the bat, or they don't exist in this world at all, because there's such a big thing that they it would be weird to just sort of put them in the middle now. I mean, the same thing that Marvel is trying to figure out with the mutants, where it's it's such an integral part that it's weird to put in the middle now.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to avoid that by maybe mentioning them early, but it still feels awkward to me. And also, something else that you said is that if they do a Checkmate show, you don't think he'll be in that, and he might show up in... He did such a good job tying these characters together.
Yeah,
and
I
Peacemaker
can't see...
with these... It feels...
I can't see a Checkmate show where they're not being where's Chris?
Where's Chris?
Yeah, there's going to be
Every
a lot
5
missing
seconds.
from both. There's going to be a lot missing from Peacemaker, I feel like, without everyone else with
You can't
him.
do it like an office comedy with please don't do that. God.
Oh, I think that he'll probably be somewhat part of the show. I think they're probably going to do a lot of stuff with Waller. I have a feeling that
I mean, there was supposed to be that Waller show, so I think Waller could be a fun way to if you're going to try to talk about the characters, that would be a good way to do that. Because then you can have them saving them. You could have them saving Waller from Argus, which could be an interesting plot line.
Yeah.
Which then it's them fighting against a Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun. But let's wrap up our thoughts on this season overall, because I think we've been kind of all over the place. So overall, I think the season is weaker than season 1. I think season 1 built up in a very interesting way. I think this season started strong and built up and then dropped the ball with the last episode. Taking out the last episode, I think the season is just as strong as season 1 up to that point. But I do think the last episode feels very tacked on, and it does hurt the series. But yeah, what do you guys think for final thoughts?
Yeah, it's hard because I really loved this season until that last episode, and it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. And I could see what he was doing. He was leaving the little threads and the things open for the next projects, but it felt a little too obvious this time in stuff that, we talked about it in Superman. He left a lot of stuff open to go different routes.
That
and
works.
Yet it worked, and it felt complete because it felt all right, this one's done. If Lex comes back or if they do this thing, it's done for now, and there's places to pick up later. This felt like a more deliberate, he's not picking it up later. He is holding it up and going, this is the next thing. And it felt a little too obvious for me that it sort of took away from, honestly, I thought this season was a little better than last season until that end, and I was like...
Chris's arc was really fun.
He had a very, very solid arc, too.
Yeah, I love that ending where he's, all his friends are comforting him and, telling him, you're not the problem.
Yeah.
It felt very well-rounded.
Yeah.
But yeah, what'd you think of overall, Luke?
I think that there's a lot of it that is better than season 1, and I think there are a lot of aspects that kind of feel like what I don't necessarily love about Gunn's work. I think some of his humor can be a little too edgelord-esque, and that kind of detracts from some of the positives that I like. But again, the strongest stuff that comes out of his work is characters, and a lot of the times that can really carry a piece of media, and I think he does that with this. All the characters are really great. They're all entertaining. They all, have a piece to kind of put together to make this kind of thing a whole.
You could say
I would recommend
Peacemaker.
There you go. James Gunn is the real
Don't worry,
Peacemaker.
I'll kill myself later.
Let fans write things.
Yes.
Let fans
No.
hire Lucas. He will write for you.
I mean, I'll write for you, but I don't think
that is the quality
fans
writing
should
you
not...
will get.
We could do it better than James Gunn, for sure.
Totally.
I think there's certain things that we could do better. I don't think I could write consistent stories better than...
I think we could probably write a box office bomb better than he could. That sounds like a good idea.
You know what, guys? Our next crowdfund will be we're gonna drop a fan made Tron film that's only cardboard. Everyone's gonna be wearing cardboard, and instead of lights, it's gonna be just sprayed on. And it'll still be better than the Jared Leto film.
I was just going to say, we'll cast the biggest actor working who's loved by everyone, Jared Leto.
Well,
Yeah,
no.
no one likes him.
Obviously, to compete, we should go with
I
Johnny
mean, no
Depp.
one dislikes him. No, you know what? I think we got to get Jared Leto. I mean, no one dislikes him.
No one
He's
likes.
loved by
has any
everybody.
problems with him.
So is Johnny Depp. He's loved by everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going on too long. But yeah, no, I think overall this I will say the intro grew me really a lot.
Yeah.
I
I
loved
didn't
all
like
the
it at
memes.
first, and then
I loved all the memes where it's like the Peacemaker intro goes with anything. It'll just be like the most insane shit, and it'll just be like into the Peacemaker.
yeah,
They really mastered, like, they did the It's Always Sunny thing, where they really mastered when exactly to put the intro in.
the needle drop.
I love
is
the
great.
beginning sound, the like guitars like screech where it like, and then it goes right into it. It like fades to black into the intro.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
That last episode had a lot of musical. It's one big music video. I completely forgot about that until right now. Which, like, it was cool in the beginning. It felt a little weird at a certain point. But
yeah. I did like the cruise ship scene. I like overall, like I like that day.
Yeah.
But I agree with that.
Again.
It was just like it was a lot. It was a lot. Anyway, overall,
I'm gonna keep complaining about that last episode.
Overall, I think for me, I'm gonna rate this season 3.5 impaled Nazi Chris's out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go like 3.5 Eagly the Eagle Gods out of 5.
Oh God, we didn't even get to talk about that.
Yeah,
that was really fun. That was fun.
Yeah, and then they just drop it, which is so funny.
He's the
like,
prime eagle.
And he goes back to like not being able to open food packages.
That's why I think that joke works, because they don't acknowledge it after that like episode. I think it's because of that like that joke is just like, oh my God, that's such a good joke.
That is a good bit.
It is such a crazy bit to be like,
because now you're just thinking about it. Any other time he's like walking around
That's
in the Nazi
true.
world, and you're like,
anytime Chris is in trouble now, we know that Eagly could stop it all, but he just chooses.
He just
not.
doesn't. Yeah.
The part with John tied up in like, the other house, and like he's like trying to get Eagly to help him, and Eagly just like brings him a stick, and he's like,
no, the Eagly in general this season was so much better than season 1, and I kind of love it.
Yeah,
I love how it's all acted in my head. It's really funny to know that it's all acted by an actual person.
yeah.
They have just a guy in a green screen in a suit doing
Just crawling around.
Yeah, trying to hand ham.
All right, Luke's review. He's been.
Sorry.
I would give this. I think I'm hovering in between a 3 and a 3.5. Dead Michael Rookers in a James Gunn project.
If I had a nickel for every time Michael Rooker gets killed off in a James Gunn project, I'd have 2 nickels, which is strange that it happened twice.
You might even have a full $1 at this point.
Yeah, we have to rewatch all of them and double check.
Yeah, double check if he's in any other.
Yeah, just for Michael Rooker.
A Michael Rooker-thon. I can get on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think overall we kind of all agreed on that. Remember to like, subscribe, support your local comic shop, and read comics, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.